He's saying if all nations means go to the Gentiles. Remember, Jews and Gentiles didn't get along. He's saying go to the Gentiles and go to all the Jews. Go to everyone in Israel. And I like that picture because they didn't get along and he's telling them to go. You know what I love? It shows that there's no discrimination in who can receive the gospel of Jesus Christ. He said, I don't care where they've come from, what they've done, the color of their skin, their culture, whatever it is. Let them hear this good news that's for everybody to receive. You must go and tell people about it. Baptizing them, he says. Baptism is, as we will see today later on, a picture of a decision they have made to follow Jesus Christ. The water doesn't save you. The simple process alone doesn't save you. Jesus Christ saves us, but it's a picture. We do it in obedience to what He's commanded us to do, to show people. It's a public profession of the decision that we're making. Then He says to teach them all I have commanded you. Teach them how to obey my word. So we see this charge that is to the Christians and to the followers. And I like to say, before us, if you're a Christian here today, before you go out and make this charge, I think it's important that we take a look at our own personal lives first. See, because before we can go out dealing with the external, it's important to know what's in the internal, to see what's in here. And in our lives, before we can go out and make disciples, we must be disciples ourselves. That word disciple means learner. We must be learning ourselves. So our personal relationship with Jesus Christ determines how you live life. What you know about Jesus Christ and the freedom that He gives in life determines and affects our relationship with people. Now, if you are like me, and I like to see myself as normal, I have had ups and down times in my walk with the Lord. What I mean by that is I've had times where I feel like God is so close and I can feel His love and grace, and I want to share with everybody. I feel like I'm filled with love. And then there are times where I feel like I can't hear a word from God, I can't see God, and I'm going through tough times. The truth is that affects how I live daily. It affects how I talk about Him and how I share about Him. So our personal, everyday relationship will affect how we communicate about Him. Second thing is to remember we are disciples. We are always learning. Don't ever feel like you have arrived. That just because we are now followers of Jesus Christ and have accepted, that we can stop learning. Because I promise you, the Lord is always working in your life. He's always wanting to do something even when you can't see. Scripture says, He who began a good work in you will continue it until the day of completion. He's not going to leave us the way we are. He's going to continue to work. Third, understand that this does not mean you have to be perfect. I want you all to understand that. Because I believe this is a lie that Satan will often tell us. If you're like me, I often mess up. And I'll be honest with you, one of my flaws sometimes, I think, is on the basketball court. I love sports. And I played a little bit in college, and I've always been very competitive. My wife and I will go play a game of horse, and we'll get competitive. It's just there's competitive nature in sports. I think that's normal. But then there are some times where I'm on a basketball court, and I know I'm getting too competitive. And the first thing I feel like, man, I messed up. I'm not a good Christian. I made myself look so bad. So I often want to cover that up. And Satan would tell me, you're not a good Christian. How are you going to be a minister if you keep messing up? How are you going to do anything with your life? How are you going to represent Jesus Christ being the way you are? And the truth is, you know what? I don't have to be perfect. But I must continue to seek and strive to reflect Jesus Christ. In those times that some people may say, and you may have gotten this, or you may have felt this, when you mess up in public or in front of people, you're ashamed thinking, oh man, I made Christians look really bad. I'm embarrassed. I'm ashamed. But you know what I love? The true picture. I can now say, you know what? I'm sorry for what I've done, but here's the great thing. Yes, I am a Christian. Yes, I am messed up. Yes, I am forgiven. Isn't that great? That I'm so messed up, yet I'm forgiven? Because it gives a picture of to those who don't believe in Jesus Christ and have the mentality of you have to be perfect to be a Christian. It gives them a picture to think, hey, you're messed up and you go to church? But maybe I can go too. Maybe Jesus Christ will forgive me too, even though I'm not perfect. That's the picture of reconciliation. make an excuse for our mess ups and sins, I'm not justifying that. I'm saying don't let Satan lie to you and take you out of the game. But continue striving to reflect and have a relationship. So in order to go make disciples, we ourselves must be disciples. We must be in His Word. We must be walking with Him. We must be learning with Him, growing with Him. And I believe it's even important, no matter what age, that you are being discipled by an individual person. You must have some kind of accountability, someone to hold you accountable. Because the reality is, I know we're good, strong, solid Christians, but no one could ever see what's in our heart, and what's in our minds. Sometimes we mess up. We need that accountability for our brothers to hold us and keep us strong. He uses this term, go out and make disciples. What does making disciples mean? Let me tell you now, making disciples is going to take time, it's going to take effort, and it's going to take sacrifice. Because it means putting yourself aside and living for somebody else. Living for Jesus Christ, but serving people. Putting yourself aside. And the first thing I'm going to say about that, when you do that, I know it can seem kind of scary. This past summer, I was working at a church last summer. And the whole thing was I was helping start another church, a church plant. We went into this community that I've never seen, and we knocked on literally 1,000 doors and handed them a gospel tract and shared Jesus and walked off. Now, I'm not saying that's wrong. Some people may love doing that. For me, it was difficult. I didn't feel like I could be me. It wasn't me. It wasn't something I would naturally do every day. I'm more of a get to know somebody on the basketball court, at my job, school, and then build relationships that way. I'm not saying knocking on doors is wrong. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying. But I'm saying it was hard for me to minister when I couldn't be myself. It was hard for me to minister when I couldn't be who God has created me to be. So don't feel like you have to put on Christian lingo. I have a certain aura about you because you're a Christian. But be who God's created you to be. And if you're a loving, outgoing person, be loving, outgoing. And do it unto Him. If you're a behind-the-scenes person who does media back there you never see, do it unto Christ. Whatever's you is you. Do it unto Christ. Next thing, remember who you represent in your everyday life. Whenever I was working at the Boys and Girls Club in Texas, it was an inner-city Boys and Girls Club. A lot of the kids would have their parents drop them off high and on drugs. Pick them up late at night. The kids have to walk home. And I often mentor these kids and was with them, went to their basketball games, and I was by their side. And these kids were rough kids, and I had a heart for them because I thought, when I saw the parents and the way their parents treated them and dropped them off and showed them no love, a piece of me felt, I can't blame this little kid for being so angry the way he is. Where does he receive love? So I felt like that was my task. God, help me to love. Help me to be you to these kids who don't know you. And every so often, I would receive a kid who would come in, who would say, yes, sir, no, sir, was respectful, wouldn't talk back, and just did things. And I would watch him and think, wow, that kid is different. He is different. And what I wanted to do was, I would wait to see when his parents came and picked him up. And once they came and picked him up, I would just shake their hands. I wanted to see who was raising this kid. What kind of parents did he have that he stood out so differently? He represented his parents very well. In life as Christians, I want to represent who our Father is well to people. I've often ran across people who say, I'm not going to church, I can't stand the church, it's a bunch of judgmental, blah, 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 blah. And they name all this stuff off. And I say, you know what? You're right, but that's not God. I'm sorry you received a negative reflection of who God is, but that's not God. So who we represent is important as our daily walk in life with God. Second, remember to use your gifts that God has given you. And I'll give you an example, in a gift or talent to minister to. When I first became a Christian, I have to be honest with you, and I envied the guitar guys on stage. The praise and worship guys, they would sing and just go all off, and I was like, man, God, give me that. I want that. I want that stage presence. I want that voice. And you can ask my wife, if you were to hear me sing, no. I mean, I'm thankful that God can see our hearts because that's where the praise comes from. But to stand before a crowd and sing,